All right, I've wanted to do this for a very long time, and here we are. Welcome to the first video on this channel. I've been a wrestling fan for years and I figured it's finally time to talk about it. No filters, no fluff, just straight up wrestling talk. So let's talk about WrestleMania 41 Night 1. And look, I'm gonna be real with you, it was pretty underwhelming. Yeah, there were some moments here and there, but outside of that absolutely electrifying main event, it just didn't hit like it should have. But let's give credit where it's due. That main event had me on the edge of my seat. What Paul Heyman pulled off, that moment lit a fire. It's got me invested in what's next, and that's what wrestling is all about, right? That feeling of what now? Anyway, I'll be diving into matches, stories, and everything in between. So if you're here for unfiltered, honest takes, stick around. This is just the beginning. WrestleMania 41, WrestleMania Night 1 went down in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium, packed with over 60,000 fans. The setup looked massive, the lights were bright, and on paper it had all the ingredients to be something special. But let's be honest here, something felt incredibly off. So there were 7 matches on the card for night 1, and while the atmosphere should have been electric, the crowd wasn't feeling it most of the night, in my opinion. I mean, you had a few reactions here and there, but overall the energy was flat. Almost like they were saving themselves for the main event. And when that match hit, you could feel the shift. Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns versus CM Punk, that triple threat, that's what WrestleMania is all about. The crowd finally came alive. You could feel the tension, the emotion, and that unpredictability that makes main event so damn good. And then Paul Heyman, man, that move, that twist, it's exactly what we needed to inject new life into this storyline. I'm all in for where it goes next. But before we dive into the main event too deep, let's break down night 1 match by match and talk about why the first half of this Mania didn't quite deliver until the very end. The show kicked off with Jey Uso challenging Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. The crowd actually came in pretty hot for this one. There was a buzz where Jey made his entrance, but holy shit, that entrance went on forever. The whole yeet thing, it's getting old, and honestly, it killed some of the momentum right from the jump. Not the match itself, it was just overly long. It was solid. The match itself was solid, good, not great, but a decent way to start WrestleMania Night 1. Jey, who won the 2025 Royal Rumble, finally managed to capitalize on his opportunity and take down the ring general Gunther. He threw everything at him, power bombs, 3 top rope splashes in a row, and then locked in a rear naked choke to tap Gunther out and win the title he's been chasing for so damn long. Sounds dramatic, right? But here's the thing, I'm still pretty pissed. Gunther's been built like an unstoppable monster for years now, and he taps out that fast. Are you seriously? Come on. That's the payoff. You build this dominant force, Gunther, one of the longest reigning Intercontinental Champions of the modern era, and he loses like that to Jey, using Gunther's own moves against him. I get the story, but it just wasn't believable in my opinion. It felt cheap, it felt rushed, and it absolutely sucked the air of what could have been a fucking classic. The match ran close to 20 minutes, and it had its moments. Big chops, super kicks, back and forth intensity, but that finish left a bad taste in my mouth. Anticlimactic as fuck. I still can't believe they booked Gunther to go out like that. I was a bit disappointed in that, really was. And next up we had the War Raiders defending the World Tag Team Championships against the New Day, the Boo Day now. And look, this just didn't belong on WrestleMania. What? This felt like a filler match you'd throw on Raw. Not the biggest show of the friggin' year. It was fine, nothing terrible, but nothing memorable either. The crowd felt deflated during this one, and honestly, I don't blame them. It was boring. There were no real highlights, no jaw-dropping moments, no drama. The whole thing was over in about 10 minutes and it left zero impact. It was just there. It was just there. The New Day won the titles, which is cool. I like the heel direction they're taking, but where was the build? Where was the story? It felt rushed and thrown together last minute. This could have been something way more compelling with even just a few weeks of actual storytelling behind it. In the end, it came off like a waste of time. The wrestling was okay, but it ended way too quickly and the crowd just didn't care. A total flop for a Mania level match. Congrats to New Day, but this needed way more work to matter. Now this was a match I had high hopes for. Jade Cargill versus Naomi had one of the best build-ups leading up to WrestleMania. The past few months of storytelling were absolutely brilliant. The drama, the chaos, Naomi putting Jade through a damn windshield. It was personal, it was brutal, and it had stakes. I was ready for war. Did I get war? We got kind of an underwhelming match. Don't get me wrong, Naomi looked amazing. Her new direction is badass as hell. That darker look, the more intense attitude, and even her new metal-themed entrance, it all fucking works. She feels like a star, but the match itself, it didn't hit the way it should have. Jade felt off. She looked way too mechanical, like she was going through her motions. Where was the fire? Where was the rage? Naomi literally attacked you and threw you through a windshield. Why didn't it feel like Jade wanted revenge? I know she got her revenge at Elimination Chamber, but still, there was no real aggression, no grit, and a few big spots and a clean finish. That being said, there was chemistry. The two worked quite well together and the match wasn't bad. It was just missing that raw emotion the story demanded. Still, this did solidify Jade as a powerhouse in the women's division, and I'm excited to see where they go from here. Hopefully we'll get another great rematch, hopefully, but damn, this should have been so much more. It really should have. Hopefully we'll see them back in the ring at Backlash. Now, this was the match of the night so far. LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu for the US Championship. Delivered everything you'd want from a WrestleMania showdown. Drama, check. High stakes action, absolutely. And most importantly, unpredictability. You had no clue how this was going to end until the very last second. The storytelling was top tier. There was no solo Sikoa at ringside as well. These two had incredible chemistry, LA Knight and Fatu, and the sequences were tight. One of the wildest moments came when LA Knight climbed the ropes and German suplex Fatu from the top. Just insane. That alone had the crowd roaring. But the biggest pop, Knight catching Fatu mid-air during a moonsault with a blunt force trauma, his finisher. That was a certified WrestleMania moment if I've ever seen one. The stadium went nuts. The crowd finally felt alive. They awakened from the dead, and the energy in the stadium was electric. But then came the finish. Fatu somehow rallied and hit back-to-back moonsaults, clean, crisp, and brutal. It was honestly a thing of beauty. And just like that, we've got a new US champion. As much as I love LA Knight, I can't be mad at the result. Fatu earned that one. He really did. Still, part of me hoped Knight would walk out with the title. But man, this match ruled. It really did. Easily the highlight of Night 1 up to this point. So originally this was supposed to be Rey Mysterio's moment, but due to injury, we have Rey Fenix that stepped up. And let me just say this match was short but super entertaining. The whole El Grande Americano from the Gulf of Mexico gimmick, absolutely hilarious. And yeah, we all know it's Chad Gable under the mask. Not exactly the best kept secret in wrestling. Despite the match being quick, it had some very fun moments. Like Phoenix brought his usual flash and Americano and a Grande Americano. Threw in some of his signature moves. You could see it in the suplexes, the ankle lock, which is a Chad Gable move, that's for sure. It was so obvious, but still a blast to watch. The finish, straight up cartoon villainy, El Grande Americano, pulls out the old metal plate trick, slips it under his mask and hits a diving headbutt, cracks Phoenix's skull wide open, figuratively. Classic dirty win. Somehow it worked perfectly with the vibe of his character. El Grande Americano wins by pinfall, and while the match was solid and got a few laughs, it's definitely not the end of this story. There's more to come here, and I'm curious to see how far they will take this. Still was hoping Phoenix would get this big WrestleMania moment. It sucks that he had to take the L in this Mania debut, but at least he looked strong doing it. Oh boy. So next up was Tiffany Stratton defending the Women's Championship against Charlotte Flair. And yeah, I know a lot of people, especially content creators, weren't feeling this match, but honestly, I really enjoyed it. Now, the build-up was great in my opinion. All those sneak attacks, trash talk, and back and forths on SmackDown make this feel quite personal. And when the bell rang, it was fucking on. This wasn't some polished technical masterpiece. It was rough, scrappy, physical, and I loved that about it. It nearly went like 20 minutes and felt like a brawl between two women who genuinely hated each other. That being said, Charlotte didn't really look her best. She was a bit sloppy at times and didn't mesh well with Tiffany's style. Some of the transitions were pretty clunky, but the intensity made up for it. And let's talk about that moonsault spot. Yeah, Charlotte's knees landing in Stratton's midsection off the prettiest moonsault ever. That looked brutal. Oh, you could definitely feel that one. It looked like Tiffany also chipped a tooth. So yeah, they weren't friggin' holding back. Stratton even kicked out of a natural selection, which kept the drama high and had me thinking, wait, is she actually gonna beat Charlotte clean? And then boom, shake-a-lick-and-boom, another prettiest moonsault ever. 1, 2, 3, ring the fucking bell. Tiffany Stratton retains the Women's Championship clean. It wasn't perfect, but it was intense, and I felt the story, honestly, one of the more underrated matches of the night. It was a rough, sloppy, but I enjoyed it. And now we reach the main event, the triple threat for the ages, the one that would change, the end of an era. Seth Rollins versus CM Punk versus Roman Reigns, and right from the start, this felt like the main event of WrestleMania. The entrances alone were next level. Roman's entrance was cinematic with massive screens dropping down showing the entire bloodline lineage. It was intimidating, theatrical, and very epic. Then we had Punk's entrance hit, a full video package of his early days to the sound of This Fire Burns by Killswitch Engage, leading into Cult of Personality performed live by Living Colour. Just goosebumps. And then Rollins, the ultimate showman, walks out wielding a damn flamethrower, dressed all in black, and then changes his whole style. This was WrestleMania magic. The match itself, absolutely fucking chaos. 30 plus minutes of brutality, drama, and constant unpredictability. It spilled out of the ring and into the crowd. There were weapons, there were moments. One of the wildest. Reigns literally launched himself over the barricade into the first few rows, wiping out Punk, Rollins, and even nearly fans. Rollins reverses a spear into a pedigree. That was an awesome spot, but Reigns still kicked out. Punk nailed a go to sleep and it looked like it was over, but no, Reigns survives again. Then came the tease, the shield bomb. For one brief second, Reigns and Rollins looks like they might work together, only for Reigns to blast Seth with an uppercut and destroy both men, driving Punk through the new reinforced announce table and Rollins through another. Carnage, and then the ultimate troll move, Rollins locking Punk in the sharpshooter, using his favorite move against him. Disrespectful, but absolutely perfect. But it was the ending. Oh man, the ending. Paul Heyman, the man who stood in Punk's corner, the man who built the empire for Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, turns on both of them. Not one, both. low blows, first to Punk, then to Roman, absolutely vicious, venomous low blows that left the entire stadium stunned and left me stunned. Roman goes down stunned, about to strike Rollins with a chair, and Heyman stops him. That betrayal felt biblical. Seth hits the stomp, 1, 2, 3. Seth freaking Rollins wins at WrestleMania, and then he walks out with Heyman. What a main event. All right, let's talk about something that's really been grinding my gears. Netflix censoring parts of WrestleMania 41. Yeah, you heard that right. Whole moments cut, words bleep, such as Michael Cole's words when he said, holy shit, shots removed. Why? This is WrestleMania. This is WWE. This isn't a soap opera or some PG afternoon cartoon. This is pro wrestling, theatrical, violent, and unpredictable, real in its emotion and its chaos. You don't censor that. You don't sanitize what makes it powerful. You tuned in to feel something. Fans tune in to feel something, to get hyped, to lose their minds over a chair shot, a brutal finisher, a crowd igniting promo. If I wanted a watered down version, I'd watch a clip show, not the biggest event in wrestling on a fucking streaming giant that prides itself on edgy content. What's next? What is next? Muting crowd reactions? Oh, they've done that. Blurring blood? Not yet. Blocking finishes if they look too painful? Not yet, but it's a fucking worry. WWE should not be censored. This is performance with edge. If you take away the grit, the risk, the emotion, you strip the soul right out of it. And if Netflix can't handle that, maybe WWE needs to rethink where they're putting their biggest show of the fucking year. Wrestling is at its best when it's raw, emotional, and uncensored. And this move, it's a slap in the face to fans who follow this for decades. It really is. Why are you muting crowds? Why are you changing the crowd audios as well? We're not watching for Disney-fied moments. We're here for storytelling through pain. Great matches. Don't fucking ruin it. So WrestleMania 41 Night 1 is in the books, and honestly, it was underwhelming for about 80% of the show. For the most part, it didn't even feel like WrestleMania. Some of the finishes were flat out questionable, especially Jey Uso making Gunther tap out like that. What the fuck is that? I'm still not over it. And then came the triple threat. That match and Paul Heyman's shocking betrayal single-handedly saved this night. It was an instant classic. One of the best Mania main events in years, and the kind of twist that reminds you why you love wrestling. I don't think it's as good as last year's main event, but anyway, I digress. Now we look ahead to night 2. I've got high hopes, especially for Cody Rhodes versus John Cena for the Undisputed Championships. This is going to be great. That's the match I'm so hyped for. So overall, a pretty average WrestleMania so far. If it wasn't for that incredible last match, the main event, this night would have been a 3 out of 10. But because of that chaos, that drama, and that shock ending, I'm giving night 1 a 7 out of 10. Let me know what you thought of WrestleMania 41 night 1 down in the comments below. Did it deliver for you, or were you left wanting more? I'll be back tomorrow with night 2. See you then.